Brandon Aiyuk has been banned after his latest attempt to force a release from the 49ers went too far. During his injury recovery, he cut off communication with the team, prompting San Francisco to place him on the reserve left squad list and void parts of his contract guarantees. Let's break down the details. Brandon Aiyuk broke his long public silence with an Instagram post aimed at the 49ers, who have so far refused to release the wide receiver, and he didn't hold back. In a 90-second clip, he went right at whoever he was addressing, saying they were scared, that they know how he plays, and that they're running from that belt that's on the way. Now, Aiyuk never said the words San Francisco 49ers out loud in that video, but nobody watching it needed a translation. He spent much of the clip describing someone as little boys and female dogs, implying the team is scared to release him because they're afraid of what he could do if he lands elsewhere. That was just the first video. 2 days later, he was back. For the second time in 3 days, Aiyuk seemingly aimed harsh comments at the 49ers, this time in a 30-second clip, in which he appears to call them stupid and dumb. He claimed the 49ers refused to release him because they're furious about paying him $50 million over 8 months, then voiding his guarantees, insisting they're really just mad at themselves. 3 voices came out swinging almost immediately after those videos dropped. First, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler went on SportsCenter and relayed exactly what the league's own executives think. Fowler revealed conversations he had with 2 NFL executives who said Aiyuk is simply untradeable right now, pointing to the knee issue, the fact that he didn't play at all last year, his publicized communication breakdown with the 49ers, and his contract. Then came Cam Newton. The former NFL VP slammed Aiyuk amid the receiver's ongoing standoff, noting that Aiyuk hasn't taken the field since Week 7 of the 2024 season, after suffering a torn ACL and MCL. Yet the dispute keeps escalating. On his podcast, Newton said that Aiyuk's comments aren't just sending a message to the 49ers, they're sending a message to every other team in the league, raising the question of why any organization would want a player who goes about things his own way, when he doesn't get what he wants. And then there was Washington football legend Brian Mitchell. On the June 8 edition of his show, Mitchell sent a clear message to his former organization, pointing out that the 49ers aren't forced to do anything at this point, and that they're in no rush to hand anyone a gift. So you've got 2 rival NFL executives calling Aiyuk untradeable. You've got Cam Newton warning him he's torching his own future. And you've got voices in Washington saying the Commanders don't owe him anything. The walls are closing in from every direction. And the question sitting in the middle of all of this is simple. How did one of the most productive wide receivers of his generation end up here, with an arrest warrant, no paycheck, and a franchise that literally canceled its own mandatory minicamp to avoid dealing with him? By canceling their mandatory minicamp, the 49ers avoided a potentially awkward moment, because even if the team had excused Aiyuk, he could have insisted on attending and practicing, which would have forced them to decide whether to let him do it or release him. The cancellation simply removed that option entirely. That's how deep this goes. A front office canceling scheduled team events to maintain leverage over a single player. To understand how the 49ers and Aiyuk got here, you have to go back, not just to the knee injury, not just to the contract fight, but to the very beginning of what made this whole relationship so complicated. Brandon Aiyuk is an American professional wide receiver who was selected by the San Francisco 49ers in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Born in Rocklin, California, and raised in Reno, Nevada, Aiyuk took the long road to the league. He started his college career at Sierra College, where as a freshman he caught 29 passes for 573 yards and 5 touchdowns and was named All-NorCal Conference. From there, he transferred to Arizona State, where he became one of the more electric receivers in the Pac-12, and where he first crossed paths with a quarterback named Jaden Daniels. That detail matters later. He was drafted by San Francisco 25th overall in the 2020 NFL Draft. From day one in the league, Aiyuk showed the kind of yards after catch ability that makes coordinators build offenses around a player. He built steadily through his first few seasons, and then in 2023, he broke out completely. He earned Pro Bowl honors following that season, catching 75 passes for 342 yards and 7 touchdowns. His yardage total ranked 7th in the NFL and made him the first 49ers wide receiver to post back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons since Anquan Boldin. And his 17 yards per reception was the second highest mark in the entire league. He was genuinely one of the best receivers in football, and the 49ers knew it. So heading into the 2024 season, San Francisco did what you do with that kind of player. They tried to lock him up long-term. What followed was one of the messiest contract standoffs in recent NFL history. It started with an extended holdout and trade request in the summer of 2024 as Aiyuk sought a contract extension. He sat out training camp activities. Teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns circled. NFL media reported the Steelers had agreed to the parameters of a trade, but the Niners made a last-ditch effort to retain him with a long-term offer. And it worked. On August 30, 2024, Aiyuk signed a 4-year, $120 million contract extension with the 49ers. He received $76 million guaranteed with the new deal, and the contract was front-loaded with Aiyuk set to receive a huge chunk of that money between signing day and April 2025. John Lynch stood next to his receiver and told the world they were thrilled. The drama was supposed to be over. It marks the third consecutive offseason that Aiyuk has become a fixture in trade speculation, which tells you something. Even after the ink dried, there was always this underlying sense that the relationship had cracks in it that money alone couldn't fill. The first crack opened almost immediately. In Week 5 against the Cardinals, Aiyuk had 8 receptions for 147 yards and a narrow loss. He looked like the player the 49ers had paid for. And then, just 2 weeks later, against the Chiefs, Aiyuk tore his ACL and MCL and was ruled out for the rest of the season. He finished the 2024 season with 25 receptions for 374 yards in just 7 games. Season over, career in flux. And the relationship between Aiyuk and the 49ers about to fall apart entirely. When a player tears his ACL, the expectation is straightforward. You do the rehab, you fight to get back, you return. What happened next with Aiyuk broke every version of that script. On July 18, 2025, Aiyuk was placed on the PUP list as he worked his way back from the knee injuries he had suffered the previous October. That part was normal. What wasn't normal was what came after. There was an expectation that Aiyuk would return to the field at some point in 2025 until November, when the team reportedly voided the guaranteed money in his contract for failing to attend meetings and declining to participate in other team activities for an extended period. Think about that for a second. Not struggling to return, not dealing with setbacks. The team voided his guarantees because he simply stopped showing up. San Francisco and Aiyuk had been at odds for almost a year, with the situation escalating, when the 49ers voided the remaining guaranteed money in his contract because he did not participate in rehab sessions. For his torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus, the voided guarantees came because he failed to participate in mandatory rehab sessions for his injured right knee. The number is staggering. The relationship collapsed after Aiyuk suffered the torn ACL, less than 2 weeks after signing his extension, and he later defaulted on the contract, allowing the team to void more than $26 million in guarantees for 2026. Aiyuk didn't challenge the move. That last part is what makes this so unusual. Aiyuk instructed the NFL Players Association not to file a grievance on his behalf. He didn't fight the void. He didn't go to arbitration. He walked away from north of $26 million without even contesting it. That's not a man playing salary cap chess. That's a man who had already checked out of the building, literally and figuratively. The Niners then put Aiyuk on the reserve left team list in December, after he stopped showing up at the team facility entirely. San Francisco voided 2026 guaranteed money in the receiver's contract during the 2025 season and placed him on the reserve left squad list on December 13, officially ending his campaign. And then, in one of the stranger footnotes to an already strange story, Aiyuk made a decision that would come back to haunt him in a completely different way. A week after being placed on that list, he is alleged to have committed the speeding violation. On December 20, 2025, Aiyuk posted a video of himself speeding past Levi's Stadium, reportedly going over 100 mph, right in front of the stadium of the team that had just cut off his guaranteed money and placed him on the inactive list. It was either a statement, a moment of recklessness, or both. But prosecutors weren't treating it as a PR stunt. According to 49ers general manager John Lynch and head coach Kyle Shanahan, the relationship had deteriorated significantly after Aiyuk stopped reporting to team facilities and reduced communication with staff last year. Lynch said in January that it was safe to say Aiyuk had played his last snap with the team. Asked why he thought the relationship had gone the way it did. "I wish I knew," Lynch said. "I can't help you." That perplexity from the man who built the team, who drafted Aiyuk, who stood next to him while he signed that extension, tells you just about everything you need to know about where things stood. Here's where the story takes yet another turn. Because just when Aiyuk's situation couldn't get more complicated, it did. Santa Clara County prosecutors filed a warrant seeking the arrest of Brandon Aiyuk on suspicion of misdemeanor exhibition of speed. Court records show the warrant referenced a video Aiyuk posted to YouTube in December, in which he appears to tape himself from the driver's seat going well over the posted 40 miles per hour speed limit on a road that runs past Levi's Stadium. The warrant dates back to that video posted on December 20, showing him driving his near 700 horsepower Cadillac CT5V Blackwing past Levi's Stadium, reaching speeds of up to 110 miles per hour. That's not just speeding. That's filming yourself doing it, posting it online, in front of the team's own stadium. On a public road with a 40 mph speed limit, there was near immediate blowback, and Aiyuk quickly apologized. He wrote on YouTube, "Sorry y'all, my car content won't come with speeding anymore. Was praying with my son tonight and wouldn't want anybody else to miss out on an opportunity to do the same with their loved ones." The apology was heartfelt, but it wasn't enough. The Santa Clara Police Department investigated the case and forwarded it to prosecutors in mid-January, with the charge formally filed against Aiyuk on January 30. The charge is a misdemeanor and can carry up to 90 days in jail, along with a $500 fine. Exhibition of speed, sometimes referred to as street racing, is a misdemeanor offense and can carry penalties including fines, license suspension, and potential jail time. And when the warrant was publicly announced in early June, Aiyuk's response was to post a video of himself driving at a racetrack. Amid news of the warrant being issued, Aiyuk posted video to Instagram of himself driving a car on a racetrack. Make of that what you will. Now, layered on top of the criminal warrant is the financial cage the 49ers have built around him. Aiyuk remains on the reserve left squad list, which means he is not being paid and does not count against their 90-man roster. There's no financial downside to keeping him on that list, and the 49ers' salary cap situation actually benefits from the status quo, because a large amount of the money the team has paid Aiyuk since 2024 will remain prorated into the future against the cap for as long as he stays on the roster. The 49ers have essentially discovered that holding Aiyuk's rights costs them almost nothing, and releasing him gives another team a free receiver. So why would they budge? The 49ers have no hard deadline to release Aiyuk because he remains on the reserve left squad list. And if he doesn't report when training camp opens in late July, he reverts to the reserve did not report list, which could trigger fines of up to $50 per day. Meanwhile, the destination everyone expects has been flashing in every single thing Aiyuk does publicly. The expectation around the 49ers and the league has been that Aiyuk wants to join the Washington Commanders. Washington quarterback Jaden Daniels is a close friend of Aiyuk's from their shared time at Arizona State. He's posting photos of himself wearing a Commander's hat on Instagram. He follows only 5 accounts: his wife, his own brand, Adidas, the Commander's official account, and Jaden Daniels himself. He's not exactly hiding it, but here's the thing. There's no firm evidence Washington actually wants to sign Aiyuk if he were to come available. The Commanders' general manager, Adam Peters, has passed on every opportunity to trade for him. Even though Aiyuk would presumably be available for a nominal cost, some had speculated Washington would eventually give up and send a 6th or 7th round pick for Aiyuk to add another weapon to their offense. But any chances of that happening have probably been damaged now that Aiyuk has gone on this online tirade. Given how receivers in the past have been treated following similar outbursts, it's difficult to project the Commanders remaining interested even if he ends up getting what he wants. So the dream destination might be pulling away. The arrest warrant complicates everything. The guaranteed money is already gone, and the 49ers still won't open the cage door. There's a version of this story where Brandon Aiyuk plays his cards differently and ends up exactly where he wants to be. The question now is whether that version of events is still possible, or whether the last few weeks of social media eruptions and legal headaches have closed those doors permanently. His recent outburst came days after he referred to the 49ers as little boys and accused them of avoiding financial responsibility. From a financial standpoint, the situation carries major implications if Aiyuk doesn't change course. he would potentially forfeit his salary for the year, and the 49ers have already voided his 2026 guarantees, including the $24.9 million option bonus. There's a path out of this. Technically, Aiyuk's best play is to show up for training camp and wait to be released. The 49ers' best play is to do nothing until he does. When he does, the smart move for the franchise would be to release him before he suffers a new injury that would put them back on the hook for another major financial obligation. But Aiyuk has shown zero interest in making that move. Showing up would theoretically be his fastest ticket to free agency. But the 49ers don't begin training camp until late July. Aiyuk has shown no interest in taking such a step, and the warrant out for his arrest would seemingly complicate any return to Santa Clara County. That last piece is worth sitting with. The arrest warrant isn't just a legal matter, it's a logistical one. Returning to Santa Clara County means walking into the jurisdiction where that warrant is active. It's not impossible to resolve, but it adds another layer to what is already an extraordinarily complicated situation. Niners GM John Lynch has kept Aiyuk on the roster in an attempt to force the Commander's hand and get something in return for the disgruntled receiver. But with each additional social media post, Aiyuk only further tanks his own trade value, likely pushing Lynch to eventually just cut him loose with nothing to show for it. Cam Newton's warning is looking more prophetic by the day. Newton said the comments aren't sending a message to the 49ers. They're sending a message to other teams who are asking themselves why they'd want a distraction like this walking into their locker room. That message is landing. The two NFL executives who spoke to ESPN were already on record calling him untradeable. Every video Aiyuk posts gives those executives more ammunition. The career case for Aiyuk is still there on paper. He's built a strong on-field resume with 294 receptions, 305 yards and 25 touchdowns in 69 games with San Francisco. In his last healthy season in 2023, he posted an impact score that ranked 4th in the entire league at his position. He was, at his peak, a top 5 receiver. The talent hasn't evaporated. It's just been buried under 18 months of silence, no shows, social media rants, avoided contract, an arrest warrant, and a standoff that neither side seems willing to end on terms the other can accept. In what is becoming one of the longest divorce proceedings in recent NFL memory, the Niners are clinging to the hope that they can get anything for a player who hasn't played since October 2024 and hasn't been in the building in even longer. Reports indicate that if Aiyuk were to reach out to Lynch or Shanahan, the team might eventually release him, as it's likely the best outcome for both parties. But as of right now, no call has been made, no meeting has been requested, and no white flag has been raised on either side. What Aiyuk has done instead is go on Instagram, call his former employers names, postcard content, and flash Commander's gear, while the franchise that owns his rights simply waits. The 49ers are holding on to Aiyuk's rights because they can, and until something forces their hand, a training camp appearance, a legal resolution, a surprise phone call, that's exactly what they'll keep doing. Meanwhile, Brandon Aiyuk sits outside the entire football system, wanted by prosecutors, cut off from his guaranteed money, and watching other receivers sign deals and play games, while he films himself doing laps on a racetrack, the belt he's promising right now. No one